Hello everyone, Wyso here with another video, this time about how to play World of Warcraft and other games remotely. What do I mean by remotely? I mean playing World of Warcraft on another machine that's not your gaming machine. And what we're going to use is No Machine. I have tried other ones such as Rainway and TeamViewer. TeamViewer is really great for IT and other related remote support. Rainway is fairly decent. It's still in beta for games. It works pretty well for Steam games, and it is free. You play it through your browser, so there's no secondary software after you install it on your main computer. But personally, after trying all those out and other ones in the past, No Machine takes the cake. It's free, there's no accounts, you set it up on both computers, and you can easily play in your own home network or away using your public IP address. Now, your public IP address, anybody can get, not a big deal. It's very easy. If they can figure out which one you are, it's not a problem. Not like this is highly coveted information. Anyway, your local address is what you'd use if you're playing from the same building or same local network. Your public address is what you'd be using if you are playing from another location outside of your home. So if you're at work and you want to play, if you're at a hotel, what have you. Now keep in mind your internet can't be complete garbage in order for this to run well. It should be fairly decent, and by fairly decent I mean something that isn't super potato. And you'll know, I'm sure most people will know when I say that. Anyway, you'll capture your local address and your public IP. The public IP, again, is only used if you're not playing at home. What you'll do is it'll go through and it'll ask you to set up some stuff. You can mostly click continue on most of those screens and leave everything default. The only one not being default is the host, where again, you'll enter in your IP address and leave the port default if it's local. If it's internet or public IP, you'll enter in the host address in addition to the port number. Once you get that set up, it will ask you how you want to authenticate. You can just use your computer login, which is the one that is on your host computer. So for example, this computer for me is Why So Serious, and then I have a password associated with it. Originally, I didn't have a password associated with it, but I had to set one because No Machine can't connect to the computer without having some form of password. It's very similar to the way that remote desktop for Windows works, because it needs some kind of password. Otherwise, the connection, for whatever reason, I just can't make it. So if you don't have a password set on your Windows login, please set one, and then it'll make connecting a breeze. Now, once you do connect, you will notice that it can be a little slow. The keyboard movements are fine, but your graphics aren't going to be perfect. But that's because you're playing remotely, and there's going to be a delay between what you see and what your computer sees on either end. Delay in terms of key presses and mouse clicks is very minimal, depending on what kind of latency you're already running on. In my case, when I was doing it at work, it was almost zero. As soon as I clicked it, most things activated or interacted properly, and as I was moving using my WASD, my mouse, and arrow keys, everything seemed to go fine and normally. Pushing buttons on your action bar might be a little tricky at first, but I have all my stuff keybound anyway, so I can just play with 1 through 12 or anything that's on my MMO mouse and have zero problems. Now I'm going to switch it over to the gameplay that I recorded earlier, and what you're going to notice is that while the graphics and everything look great, that's because I recorded it on my primary machine, because my secondary laptop is not powerful enough to record and remote desktop into World of Warcraft at the same time. At least not at quality enough that where it would look fine to put into a video. But what you will be able to see is my movements and how the camera reacts. And while I'm telling you, I haven't used this very much, it's not perfect. Mostly what I do is fish when I'm using this or gather some herbs. Not a lot. I don't do a lot of combat, but it is certainly sufficient for doing anything that you want to do in World of Warcraft within reason. Again, within reason. So I'm going to switch this over. We're going to take a look at it, and you can tell me what you think. Now that I have no machine open, I'm going to open up World of Warcraft. You can see the mouse movement is exactly perfect, but now that the client is loading in, I'm going to select my character and wait for the loading screen. And here I am, moving. Yep, see, I was turning the camera and it spun around a little bit, but it's not wild. It's very controllable. My settings are fairly tough. Makes it harder to move the camera without, really moving the mouse a lot. I did that specifically for this so that I can have a little bit more control. And now that I'm fishing, you can see I can move the camera around. The gameplay so far looks pretty good. And there's the bobber. Click the bobber, catch the fish, do it again. And we'll rinse and repeat. Bobbers popped, grab the bobber, fish collected. There we go. I like using the large fishing bobbers. That way I can have an easier time clicking on the fishing bobber. The small one is kind of a pain. I don't fish a lot. I don't do any of the extra, fishing activities that the game has. So you can get the different kind of fishing bobbers. I don't necessarily care for that. I never got the underlight angler. I wanted to, but again, fishing is not something I do very often. It's not something I care about too much. It's really just a means to an end for me. There we go, fishing again. One more time. Alright, there we go. Pretty nice and easy. I'm using the mouse now to run up the hill. Left and right click held at the same time. You may see that my perspective on my camera, darts around a little bit, but that is because I'm using a smaller screen on my laptop compared to my desktop computer, which uses a 24 inch and a 25 inch monitor setup. Gonna grab this node right here. Again, primarily using WASD with some mouse movement to adjust. I do have my camera set on only horizontal while moving, so that I don't have my camera adjusting all the time, and any real camera adjustments that I need made happen when I left click hold or right click hold, depending on what I'm doing. What I'm doing here is I'm working my way, heading over to a world quest, running by some mobs so that you can see. Running by all these long boys. Gonna pass through some trolls. Not gonna pick up that world quest. That one's no good. I'm already exalted with 7th Legion. No point in doing that. Oop, almost ran into a pillar. Up the stairs. So many stairs. Such a workout. Gonna hop across the water here. And I got stuck on a rock. And stuck on that thing. Run, 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 run. You can't knock me off my mount. I'm a tank. You'll see my mouse move up and down, left and right. You'll see my cursor going. That's me adjusting my field of view from the no machine because as you move your mouse to the sides, it will, scroll over the rest of the way. I hadn't played around much about seeing if I could get it to scale to fit or fit my screen with what I have. I haven't really cared much. Typically, I use it on my dual monitors at work, so the screen doesn't really need to be adjusted. I just adjust the window size, and typically I have, 75 to 80% of my field of view available. And run through all these beast collars. There, you'll see I screwed my camera up trying to adjust, and I adjusted the wrong way. But like I said, I don't use this very often, or at least I don't run around very often. Most of my time spent using this is stationary, so I don't really have to adjust. I get to where I'm going and sit there and just fish or herb. I mean, you have to move for herbing, but usually it's very static. It's very few times that I have to really adjust my camera much. Now we're here, we're going to try and kill this dude. Seems like he's dead, so I'm just going to give him a minute. Should respawn. But I'll show you while we're standing around how the movement reacts. Camera inside is fairly easy. It's really the outside camera, and it's really dependent on your mouse and how you have your settings for camera sensitivity. I tweaked mine a little bit, so it's a little more awkward. I just have to get used to it, really. Spamming some thunderclap, because what else can you do while you wait? I mean, I suppose you could dance, but not really a dancing kind of dude. And here we go. You'll see my mouse judder around a lot. I don't have a mouse pad on this mouse, so it looks like my cursor's going nuts. But I am using a MMO mouse. Just a cheap one I got years ago. There you go. All done. Run outside. And let's earth. I was messing around with the camera here to see if I could smoothly move it. Didn't do too well. Now we're back inside the inn, gonna run outside, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully you found this helpful. I really like No Machine. It's fairly convenient. It's easy to set up. I was a little confused with the whole password thing, but that's why I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. Let's say that the camera, the mouse movement takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's really not that bad. But like I said, hopefully you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I plan on using this until I can't anymore, but have a good rest of your day, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Catch you next time.